Hi math friends, we're looking at our volume of curved figures, the second review for this, so hopefully this really helps us with this skill. So let's go ahead and check out our cylinders and cones here. So recall that volume of a cylinder is going to be pi times radius squared times the height. Alright, so for this one, be really careful because pi we're going to use 3.14. I'm going to make that a little bit smaller so we can actually read it well. So we're going to use that for pi. And remember, radius is going to be halfway across. That's the diameter that you see on this one, that 24. Radius squared, we can multiply it by itself. And then the height here is 11. Go ahead and use your calculator to finish that up. And for this one, we get 4,973 and 76 hundredths. And it's in feet, so we're going to say feet cubed would be our final answer. So remember, showing work and final answer. Here's showing work right here, and then here's final answer, so go ahead and do that. All right, number 2, it's an oblique cylinder, so it's like slanted, but we use the same equation for it. So we're going to do pi times radius times the height. Scooch that over a little bit so we can see that better. All right, and then you're going to go ahead and do that on your calculator. Remember, if you use parentheses, your scientific calculator will know that that means multiplying, and that's common in math. So it looks like for this one I'm getting 618.1875, and this one doesn't ask you to round specifically, so we can leave it like that. And this one is centimeters, so centimeters cubed. All right. Over here we got a cone. So remember, the difference with a cone is that we're going to use the same formula because it's like a cylinder times radius, pi times radius times radius, times the height. So the height here is 17. But the thing that's different here is for a cone, we're going to have to divide by 3. So divide that by 3. And then you can do that on your calculator again. And looks like for this one we're getting 160 and 14 hundredths, and this is in inches, so inches cubed. The other cone is upside down, so same thing here, pi. And look here, this 20 is the diameter, it's all the way across, so I need half of that, that's right. And times the height, which is 9. That 9 kind of looks like a 4, but it's a 9, so be careful there. And again, you're going to go ahead and divide by 3. So we'll go ahead and say divide by 3. That looks a little bit neater than last time. So 3.4. So you should get 942 for this, and that's in feet, so feet cubed. Alright, so remember, showing work, and then you got your final answer too, and you should be good. Over here, I haven't been doing this right. We should also be writing our final answer up here. That's going to be where I'm looking for your final answer. So let's make sure that we do that too, okay? You're going to see all of these in this review like that, so we'll get used to doing that. And if it leaves the box a little bit, that's fine. Just make sure that it's legible when you write it. All right, so this one we're using a table to identify the effect of having the height of a cylinder as on its volume. All right, so let's use the same formula here. So it's pi times radius, that's from our first column here, times radius times height. So if I multiply all of those, I get 314. Again here, 314, and we have the same radius, 1, but now the height is a half. So when you do that, you're going to get 1.57. And then over here, same idea, radius is still 1, So make sure you show work here in this work column. Height here is 0.25. So when you do that on your calculator, you're going to get 0.785. All right. So one way to do this is, well, like what happened here? One way to do this is we could divide these to see what happens. So if I divide those, I actually get 2. And go ahead and divide again. If we divide these, we actually get 2 again. So each time that the radius is cut in half, so look at this, 1 to 0.5, 0.5 to 0.25, this also decreases by that factor of 2. So it's actually a factor of a half. It gets cut in half each time. Make a better 2 over there also. All right, so we need to put this in words. So we can say, when we take half of the height of a cylinder, the volume is also cut in half. That's one way to say it. Make sure that you have a full sentence there that we can reasonably logically explain, and you should be good. The reason we don't have to put the units on here at the end too is this is in this column, so you don't have to write it every time. All right, we got a couple more to check out here. So here it's a ball, so ball is a sphere. All right, so we have to remember the volume of a sphere, and that's going to be 4/3, so 4 times pi times radius squared, so radius cubed, sorry. So that 4/3, I like to think of it like this. If you divide by 3, it's one way to do it. All right, so what numbers do we actually have here? We actually have the volume to start. We have 904 and 32 hundredths. All right, so let's go ahead and check out what else we have. The 4 is 4, so we have this 4 here. We have pi, but we don't have radius right now. All right, and we do have this 3. All right, now I'm going to use some color coding here to help us with solving this now. So let's go ahead and check this out. So see this divide by 3? We want to solve for these r's. So we want just these r's to be by themselves. I'm going to go back to orange. What do we do instead of dividing by 3? That's the opposite. So that's right, multiply by 3. So what you're going to do over here is I'm going to have 904, 32. I'm going to multiply by the 3, and again, color coding it just to keep everything in order here. All right, and then what else do we have to do differently here? So let's use a different color. Let's use purple. See this 4. This 4 is being multiplied here. So what's the opposite of multiplying? All right, so if you said dividing, that's right. So you're going to divide by 4. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to put it underneath in the fraction here. So this 4 will go down here. So that'll mean dividing. And we still have pi over here. So let's see, what do we do with pi? We can do this in red. So pi is also being multiplied originally. So the opposite would be 2. If you said divide by pi, you're right. So that's going to go in the denominator too. When it's in the denominator, that means it'll be divided. All right, make sure that you check this out carefully, especially if you get stuck here on this review in class. So when you do this, you're going to end up with that r cubed. So r times r times r. All right, so when you go ahead and do all of this, 904, 32 times 3 divided by 4 and divided by pi. You should end up with 216, it looks like. So if you do this correctly, you get 216. If you didn't do that right, go ahead and try to type that in again. Check out what you typed, see if you type something in incorrectly. So the problem here is I have 216 equals r times r times r. It's not 3r, it's r cubed. So we actually need to do the cubed root here. So the cubed root of 216. All right, so on here to help you out, I'm going to go ahead and show you the numbers of the calculator that you might have, the more common one for us, and we'll see if that helps you type it in too. All right, so here, let's go ahead and I'm going to show you a picture of your calculator that I have. So this is probably the calculator that you're using. This is the most common one. To do this, we're going to go ahead and type in, and I'm going to hit all the buttons on here for this. You're going to hit second, or sorry, you're going to hit 3. So on your calculator, it'll say 3. And then you're going to hit second, and that leads you to here. So your calculator display will look like this. It'll say 3, and it's got this little like X symbol here, and then the root symbol. So that means it's doing the third root. So the third root means what number times itself 3 times is going to be this. And then you type in 216, and you should end up with the correct answer. All right, hit enter, and you should end up with 6. So we're going to say at the end 6 equals r. All right, and then let's look at our question again. It says calculate the radius. So the radius here is 6, and our measurement was cubic centimeters. So radius is just a length, so 6 centimeters. All right, our very last one here, this cone, we're saying if this sorbet melts, will it overload the cone? So will it overflow? All right, so remember cone, we're going to do pi, so work for cone. The radius of the cone is 3, and the height is 7. But remember, for a cone, we have to divide by 3 also. So we're going to make sure to do that. So go ahead and type that in. And it looks like I'm getting 65 and 94 hundredths, and that's in inches, so inches cubed. And then let's look at the sorbet. So sorbet, it says are spheres, and if you're missing that, look over here, it says spheres right here. So you're going to do 4 times pi times radius times radius times radius. So radius here is 325, so bigger radius than the actual cone. It's typical for ice cream, right? Or sorbet, whatever you're eating. And then divide by 3. And remember that there's 2 of these, so at the end we'll multiply by 2. All right, so let's go ahead and figure that out. Remember, this is the show your work part, and then you're actually doing it on your calculator. So it looks like here I'm getting 100 already, so that's already more. So that's for 1 scoop. So then we have to multiply by 2 for 2 scoops. And we're going to say inches cubed. All right, so then go back to the question. If all the sorbet melts, will the cone overflow? Well, this is much smaller than this, right? So yeah, it's overflowing even with 1 scoop. All right, so we're going to say yes, it will overflow. And we want to have a quick explanation, right? The volume of the sorbet is larger than the volume of the cone. All right, so I hope this helps you guys. Work hard and you're going to do great. Believe in yourself.